Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I recently saw a wonderful video by Padula Studio, a really incredible Australian craftsman and YouTube woodworker. And he brought up points about design. Um, he builds more commissions than I do, but he's really focused on design. I'm by no means a great designer. I think my work has good design, very good functionality, very good craftsmanship. My pieces can really withstand the test of time. I think they can be handed down generation to generation, but I'm still learning about design. I do know, based on what Padula was talking about and his interviews with some incredible woodworkers all over the world, is that design really matters. And I say this because it makes you love what you do. Here's a great design element on a cherry trestle leg table that I built for a client. These are wedged tenons. I've loosened these up to show you, but they are very strong and just look really beautiful and add strength to the table as it's put together. This client had to repaint their great room, and with a very simple but strong connection element like this, they were able to disassemble the table in about 10 minutes and reassemble it with this wedge tenon. There's a through tenon from the trestle into each leg, and then a large mortise, and then the two wedges come together inside that through mortise and really add to the beauty and the color of the table. Here's another very simple design element on the same cherry trestle leg table. I wanted to add some visual appeal and some strength, even though it's probably not seen often by clients or their guests at this dining room table. But you'll see that the angled or tapered leg comes into the foot of the table. And there's a tiny shadow line. So the leg is about an eighth inch wider than each of the bases. So you get a little bit of a beautiful shadow line. And then I pegged them as the leg fits over the base. I hand pegged them, drilled them out, and ran homemade cherry dowels through there. So it gives a lot of strength. It gives a little bit of visual appeal. Again, super simple to do. The whole thing took about 10-15 minutes in the workshop. But another design element that'll make you feel better, your client will see it when you deliver the piece, or your family member, and it just adds a lot to the piece. Here's one last design element that I think is worth seeing on this same cherry trestle leg table. As one of the incredible designers on Padula Studios interviews said, something simple like a chamfer on a tabletop adds just a little bit of interest and is very easy to do. So this tabletop is about an inch and an eighth high, and I ran a 60-degree chamfer bit on a router with a guide and a bearing as the table was upside down. So it gives you a little bit of visual appeal, just a little bit something extra on the tabletop. Probably makes it a little easier if you get in, you're not going to snag a piece of clothing because that chamfer is going to ease that on the corner and on both sides. Here are two design elements from a client project. This is a walnut sideboard, inspired by some of George Nakashima's work. The first thing that I want to call attention to is that the top is a book matched. It was cut from a solid piece of 8/4 walnut, cut on the bandsaw, and then opened up and then glued back together. So it's a exact mirror image left and right side of that piece of walnut. And this runs down the left side, the top, and the right side. The other thing here are hand cut dovetails. Some people love them, some people complain that it's focused on too much. I think they're actually pretty easy to cut, and they do add a ton of strength, and they do add some visual appeal. Another set of design elements from that same client project, the Walnut sideboard. So here are the doors. They are also book matched. So they're cut from a piece of 5/4 or inch and a quarter solid walnut, opened up on the bandsaw, and then glued back together. So you'll see a beautiful mirroring on every single door. And again, it just makes the grain really fly out and adds to some beauty on the doors because there are 4 sets of doors. These are also on wood slides, thanks to Chris at Four Eyes. I took his measurements on how to make these doors open up. So they pop right out, you'll see here. So if you want to change the shelves or clean it out, they pop right back in and they slide super easy. Here's a design element. Again, I've featured it in some of the other clips I've shown you on a curly cherry round side table or a cocktail table. You'll see again, this has beautiful curly maple cut from a single piece of wood, again, 8/4, and then opened up and book matched. So it shows you an exact mirror. And curly maple has something we refer to as chatoyance, those kind of slot sides and speckles that you see that really grab the light. And you'll see also on the border of the apron the same attention to detail on the grain and the chatoyance. I carried over some of those same design elements on the base and on the legs of this curly maple side table or cocktail table. It's about 22 inches high, meant to be beside a couch or a chair in a living room. So the base also was book match, so cut from a single piece of curly maple. This was probably 8/4 also, and then opened up and glued back together. And also on the legs, the way the geometry of the inside legs curve out, and then the upper part of the legs that you see here curve up. And you'll see the way I match the grain. The again, it's called chatoyance in the light kind of flickers off the curly maple. Really adds to a great element to this piece. Here are some design elements on a kitchen table that I built for a client. The drawer front, top rail and bottom rail are cut from the same piece of wood, so there's continuous grain. You'll see that I don't use metal drawer slides. There's an inner wood rail, nicely waxed, and then a dado. You'll see that I've done cherry dowels that go into a rabbet in the front. So it's super strong, adds a nice bit of detail on when you open the drawer. And again, super simple to do. Another simple design element that I always do in my tables is you'll see a slight shadow line between the leg and the side rail. So I always inset my rails and backs and fronts an 1/8 inch in to the leg, which gives it a nice shadow line and just add some detail. Here's one last design element that I wanted to show you. And apologies, this is shot at a client location and this is their working desk. So this is a cantilever desk. The top is curly maple, has a chamfered edge. But what I wanted to show here is, first of all, I ran these on wooden drawer slides. This slide's super, super easy. The front face is angled. It's also made of the same curly maple, and it just adds the same kind of angle that the cantilever desk has, the legs in an opposing angle. And again, just as subtle things that the client notices, these drawers slide super smooth and avoid any metal slides. So I hope you enjoyed these little vignettes that I've showed you of some design elements, things that I've learned from other woodworkers, I've learned by myself, looking at magazines, going to museums, and seeing things that you just think are absolutely beautiful, and either learning how to do it or knowing how to do it but have never tried it, and things that you've just fallen in love with and make you really, really proud of what you've done. So please send me questions. I love answering questions from my somewhat growing audience. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I'll be uploading other videos soon. Thanks a lot.